We are tracking another significant severe weather event tomorrow heading into Wednesday. Numerous thunderstorms with very large hail and tornadoes, potentially strong tornadoes, are becoming increasingly likely. In fact, I'm particularly concerned about the tornado threat across portions of the Midwest, where several damaging, even destructive EF2 plus tornadoes are possible. We don't want to scare anyone, but this is definitely the type of weather you want to pay attention to. Today is Monday, March 9th, and in this video, The World of Weather, I'll break down all the details and impacts so you can stay safe where you are. The catalyst for our severe weather, we have two different systems that are coming together. We have this cutoff low that we've been tracking for a long time now over Baja California. This is finally ejecting up to the northeast tomorrow, and as it does so, all of this moisture that's building in these green colors up ahead of it, that's going to spread even further north and allow for some severe weather potential. At the same time, further to the north, we have a trough coming in. This is more in the middle to upper levels of the atmosphere. This will bring in a much colder air mass, and all of the warm air that we have building, that will clash with that cold air mass coming in and bring the potential for very strong storms, especially out ahead of our cold front. Let's get straight into it. We have a widespread slight to enhanced risk of severe weather for your day Tuesday. It's possible by the time we're waking up Tuesday, we could get a little bit of an expansion and maybe even an upgrade in some areas. So for context, the enhanced risk is something you want to pay attention to, and it's not something the Storm Prediction Center issues every day. It means that more significant, more widespread than usual severe weather is possible. It's not completely out of the question we get a moderate risk, a category 4 out of 5, which would mean very significant severe weather is possible, but for now we'll just stay in this enhanced category. So it's very easy to tell the two hotspots for severe weather. One will be up towards Chicago and Illinois into northern Missouri and portions of Indiana. The other area we're watching is across Texas, extending across the hill country, the big country near Dallas. This is the other area where stronger storms are possible, but anyone in the yellow, even in the green areas, we still want to watch out for severe weather potential. The tornado threat will be at its worst across Illinois, south of Chicago. We're talking from Galesburg to Bloomington, Peoria, and areas just south of Chicago. This is the area where the most widespread and strongest tornado potential is present, especially in this yellow area. You really need to be on your alert Tuesday evening for tornado warnings, because unfortunately I think we'll have many in this area. The hatch markings here in this larger black area, that's where EF2 plus tornadoes are possible, which means not just regular tornadoes, potentially strong tornadoes. So this is why we want to pay attention, and this is why the threat is serious. Even further south though, there is a threat for a few strong tornadoes across Texas, even though the probabilities aren't as high. The wind threat will be maximized across Texas on Tuesday evening. So in this red shade, that's where the highest coverage of wind is possible. We're also concerned about very large hail in both areas of the enhanced risk, potentially up to baseball size hail in some of the strongest storms. So that's very damaging. This does include the Chicago area. Y'all are kind of just on the line, but anywhere in central Illinois and then also that other corridor in Texas, we're also under the gun for very large hail. So this is a multi-mode severe weather threat. All types of severe weather is on the table, and unfortunately I think this will be a very impactful day with a lot of damage possible from these storms. Taking a look at some of the parameters, we can see the two storms here on the wind map very clearly. The first is a sharp area of low pressure, the cutoff low that will be moving. Watch as we track and moving into Texas. All this energy will be moving up ahead of it, and in all these wind energy aloft, this is what's bringing a lot of the storms. To the north though, here's our second trough of low pressure moving through, and we also see that area of wind energy to the north, and these two will eventually combine, and again, out ahead of this is where very strong winds, a lot of moisture, a lot of warmth, that's leading to all of our severe weather problems. Something we like to track, if you watched any of my other videos, convective available potential energy, CAPE values. This is just energy that thunderstorms have, and the higher the value, the stronger the storm can get and the more energy it can tap into. And notice we have this maxima of CAPE possible across Missouri into Illinois. This is where the highest tornado potential is, and some of these values of CAPE 2 to 3,000, that is very high, especially for this time of year. This is even more CAPE than we had in last weekend's severe weather threat, so this is why we really want to pay attention across this region. But even further south across Texas, still very high CAPE values, and this is just one of the ingredients coming together for our dangerous severe weather event. To get a sense of where the strongest tornadoes will be, we can also track our significant tornado parameter. This is a formula that basically takes into account a lot of different factors that are typical for tornado development. Once again, across portions of the Midwest, this is where the strongest tornado threat is. Some of these values could be approaching 3 to 4. For context, we're on a scale of roughly 1 to 10. It can go higher than 10, but typically 10 is your high-end, very dangerous severe storms. 3 to 4, even up to 5, that's not something that we want to take lightly, and this is why the potential for not just regular tornadoes, but a few strong, maybe long-lasting, dangerous tornadoes are. Especially if any storms come in the evening or overnight hours, we want to make sure we have a way to stay alert, to get notifications if a tornado warning is issued, because that could be life-saving. This could be potentially dangerous tornadoes coming in late Tuesday. Let's track it all out on the radar now. So as of this recording on Monday, we have showers and storms, a few severe storms ongoing across portions of the deep south. These will continue moving to the southeast. Atlanta, you'll want to watch out over the next few hours, gradually fading in strength, but damaging winds and large hail is possible. Zooming out a bit though, the atmosphere will recharge as we head into Tuesday. Tuesday morning, mainly dry, a few showers across Texas, but nothing too big. It's really afternoon. That's when the heat builds up, the moisture builds up, and that's when, as the cold front starts moving south, severe weather starts to ramp up. So first, across Texas, y'all will be seeing an uptick in rain west of Austin, west of Dallas, across the hill country, and this is when we start seeing some of those big storms forming as we go 4 to 5 p.m. Potentially for your evening commute home, it could be very stormy across portions of West Texas, San Angelo areas further west. Very large hail is possible in any of these cells. This looks like a very big hail maker, even up to baseball size can't be ruled out, so very concerned there. Also, the tornado threat, again, not as high here as areas further north, but still, if any of these cells can turn a little more discreet, we definitely have the energy in place for a few isolated tornadoes. So this will occur across Texas, Oklahoma, North Texas, Dallas. You could get in by 6 or 7 on Tuesday. What's going to happen is eventually these storms will consolidate into more of a line. When this happens, the threat will shift from hail more to wind and isolated spin-up tornadoes. So as these storms approach the I-35 corridor, including Dallas Metro, Austin Metro, San Antonio Metro, there'll be more of a line of storms coming rather than those individual hail makers. But still damaging winds possible here. Everything moves east as we go into the overnight hours, overnight into Tuesday and Wednesday morning. So we could be getting rain across these metro areas late at night when most of us are sleeping. So if any severe weather comes through, this is why you want to make sure you have a way to stay alert. Storms will weaken as we head to the morning hours, but eventually re-strengthen east of the I-35 corridor. That's kind of the highlight of the severe weather and hail concern, especially for the south. Let's back up the clock and go now further north, because this is where the most significant tornado threat exists and potentially the most destructive severe weather. Again, we're going to wait until noon, and it's going to be afternoon. That's when the storms will start firing. I think around 4 or 5, we're going to get some showers building up, and these could quickly turn severe with some daytime heating. This model, the HRRR, is a little more subdued than some of our other models, but it's definitely possible that any of these cells here approaching near to just south of Chicago could quickly blow up into big hail and potential tornado makers. The threat continues to ramp up. I think it'll be maximized from 6 to about 9 in the evening. Notice all these clusters of storms. Any of these could be supercells moving through Chicago, but also northern Missouri, Illinois, Indiana. Even further south in this model is showing we're still at that risk. Any of these individual discrete cells that form, we could have a few longer track tornadoes and potentially destructive tornadoes here with a very large hail potential as well. So we're concerned for all sorts of severe weather, but especially that supercell threat across this area when that tornado parameter is maximized like I showed you earlier. After the initial round of supercells move through, we're not going to be done. The cold front will eventually catch up, and as it does so, we're going to get a line of storms and rain forming. So don't get caught off guard. If you're going to bed after that first round of storms late on Tuesday, still make sure you have a way to get notified, because notice this is a second round moving through along that cold front, and while the tornado threat will be a little lower as these storms consolidate into more of a damaging wind threat, we still can't rule out some isolated spin-up tornadoes in any of these cells. So a very dangerous and dynamic situation where multiple rounds of storms are possible. As it moves east on your day Thursday morning, everything will slowly weaken, but still just a general wet weather. Look at this, we could have a third round of rain moving across portions of the Midwest early Thursday morning before everything will finally clear. Zooming out a bit, you can very clearly see where the cold front is and all the drier and much colder air that's coming in behind it, which will finally clear everything out on Thursday. It's not over though. Tomorrow on Wednesday, everything shifts further east with the front. We have a very wide area of a slight risk of severe weather all the way from Louisiana, extending northeastward all the way up to Pennsylvania. What's going to happen though by Thursday is as that cold front moves through, storms will congeal into more of that line of storms. So not as much of a supercell threat, but more damaging winds and a few quick spin-up tornadoes possible, which can still be damaging. Hopefully though, we can stay away from some of the stronger tornado threat we're tracking today. Putting a picture to this is when we're waking up Thursday morning. We can see all the storms racing east, and then boom, we get that line of storms starting to form, especially along and just to the southeast of that cold front. In particular, some of the models have been indicating a few higher areas of severe weather across portions of the deep south where a little bit more moisture and energy will reside. So if the Storm Prediction Center upgrades their outlook, maybe adds an enhanced risk, I wouldn't be surprised if across somewhere in the deep south we get that upgrade. But any of the storms that ride ahead of that main line, a few isolated supercells are possible. Wind threat continues, especially across the south as we head later onto your day Thursday. A pretty stormy commute Thursday evening, and then everything will start clearing further to the east on Friday. Look at this, across the north we could have some snow mixing in on the backside. That just shows how how cold the air mass is behind this and how much of a contrast it is from the warmth. Still a low end severe weather threat possible across the east, but much lower than the past 2 days, and everything will gradually be clearing off to the east. We're also tracking a bit of a heavy rainfall threat. Remember that I showed you some of these areas could be seeing training rounds of multiple storms over the same areas. So if you're in the yellow shade, that's a 2 out of 4 slight risk for flash flooding. Just be mindful, watch roads, maybe some low water crossings could rise, brief ponding on the streets. Nothing major, but definitely something to watch out for. Okay, so what's going to happen behind this storm system is all this warmth, this record warmth that's leading to our severe storms. Well, that's going to clear out in a hurry to just normal temperatures for early March, which means it's going to get chilly again across portions of the north. So nothing brutally cold or winter-like, but you can see temperatures returning near to slightly below average for much of the central and eastern US. Here's the thing, heading into next week, we could get a second cold blast coming in, and this one does look a little bit more powerful. This one could bring the return to more significant below average temperatures for much of the central and eastern US. It is getting into March, so it's not going to feel bitterly cold, but it'll definitely be feeling a lot more winter-like, and we could have some more snow potential during this period as well. We're not done with snow yet, that's for sure, especially across portions of the north. So here's that severe weather threat again tomorrow. I do think this will be the most significant severe weather of the season so far. I know we just had very significant severe weather at the end of last week, but don't discount this event. This one will be very impactful as well, and unfortunately could be very dangerous, especially near those stronger tornadoes. So if we have a plan in place, if we have a way to receive those warnings, then we're going to get through this just fine. So just make sure that you have those plans in place and don't get caught off guard by the storms. Again, the timing will be later on Tuesday, heading overnight into Wednesday morning. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you want to stay up to date and never miss any details on the weather, consider subscribing, liking this video and all that. Hope you all have a great day, and see y'all next time.